In the year 1652, under the rule of Sultan Mehmed IV, a wealthy merchant named Yusuf al-Qaisari set out from Bursa to the capital, Istanbul, his caravan laden with the finest silk, spices, and jewels. His journey took him along the ancient Silk Road, where merchants and travelers found shelter in grand caravanserais scattered across the Ottoman Empire. One such resting place was the famed Hanserli Han, an inn nestled in the mountains near Iznik. Once a prosperous trading post, it had fallen into disrepair. Few travelers chose to stay there, whispering of strange occurrences, shadows that moved against the torchlight, doors that bolted themselves, and eerie wails that echoed through the halls at night. Yusuf, a pragmatic man of commerce, scoffed at such tales. He believed fear to be the weapon of the weak-minded. But as he and his caravan approached Hanserli Han at dusk, the wind howled through the stone corridors, and the air turned unnaturally cold. The towering walls of the caravanserai loomed before them like a forgotten relic of a time long past. Yusuf's men, weary from travel, hesitated at the entrance. The gatekeeper, an aged man with hollow eyes, greeted them with an unsettling gaze. "Welcome, merchant," he rasped. "You are the first guests in many months." Yusuf waved off the man's ominous words and ordered his men to secure the goods. As night fell, the torches flickered, casting elongated shadows against the cracked stone walls. They had barely settled when a scream echoed from the stables. Rushing outside, Yusuf found one of his guards missing. His horse, still tethered, was drenched in sweat, nostrils flaring with fear. A frantic search of the caravanserai revealed no trace of the missing man, as if he had been swallowed by the night itself. The men whispered among themselves, their resolve wavering. Yusuf assured them it was the work of brigands, nothing more. But in the hours that followed, another guard vanished, this time from inside the locked chamber. The door had remained bolted from within, the windows too narrow for escape. Only silence remained where once he had slept. Yusuf, though shaken, refused to let fear control him. He stationed the remaining men in shifts, ordering them to guard their cargo with unwavering vigilance. But as the moon rose high, a presence swept through the halls, an unnatural chill that made the torches shudder. Then, she appeared. A woman, clad in flowing white, drifted through the courtyard, her bare feet soundless against the cold stone. Her face, though obscured by a silken veil, bore an otherworldly glow. Yusuf's heart pounded as she turned toward him, her sorrowful gaze locking with his. "Leave this place," she whispered, her voice carrying an echo of untold anguish. Yusuf found himself paralyzed. The woman's form shimmered, as if caught between the realms of the living and the dead. He reached out, but as his fingers brushed the air before her, she dissolved into a cloud of mist. His men fled in terror. Only a handful remained by his side, unwilling to abandon their master. Yet Yusuf could no longer ignore the weight of the unseen that pressed upon them. Determined to uncover the truth, Yusuf sought out the gatekeeper. The old man, reluctant at first, finally spoke. She was Esma, the wife of a merchant who once owned this place. He was an envious man, filled with greed. One night, he accused her of betrayal, though she was innocent. In a fit of madness, he locked her in a chamber below this very hall and left her to perish. When he returned to retrieve her remains, she was gone. Since then, she walks these halls, seeking justice, or perhaps revenge. Yusuf's blood ran cold. Had his presence disturbed a restless spirit doomed to roam for eternity? Determined to set things right, Yusuf and his men searched the caravanserai until they found a forgotten passage leading beneath the halls. There, behind a crumbling wooden door, lay a chamber untouched by time. A single tattered shawl, embroidered with Esma's name, rested upon the cold stone floor. As Yusuf reached for it, a sudden gust of wind extinguished their torches. A wailing cry erupted from the depths of the darkness, and the ghostly form of Esma emerged once more, her presence filling the chamber with unbearable sorrow. "Free me," she pleaded, her spectral hands reaching toward the door. With a silent nod, Yusuf and his men recited prayers and sealed the chamber's entrance with sacred verses. At that moment, a heavy sigh echoed through the halls, and for the first time in centuries, silence reigned. The next morning, as the caravan departed, Yusuf glanced back. The caravanserai stood unchanged, yet something in the air felt lighter, as though an unseen weight had been lifted. Esma was finally at rest.